Right. Um, well, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Seema Patel. I am the chair of the Desert Mountain IB Parents Association, and today we're doing something we like to call Life After IB, and we have some students with us here that have graduated from Desert Mountain, and if you guys can one by one kind of introduce yourselves, what year you graduated, where you currently are, and what you're studying. Who wants to go first?
I can go. Hi, everybody. I'm Noelle. I graduated from DM in 2023, and I'm currently at Arizona State University studying actuarial science and minoring in Spanish.
I can go next. My name is Isha Karthik. I graduated from DM last year in 2024. I'm currently a freshman at ASU Barrett Law Honors College, and I'm studying supply chain management with a certification in international business.
I can go. Um, I'm Victoria. I graduated in 2024. I'm currently studying philosophy, politics, and economics at the University of Pennsylvania with a minor in French.
I'm
Hi.
Nola. I
Oh,
graduated last year and at Kenyon College and I plan to major in English with a concentration in creative writing.
hi, I'm Leo. I graduated 2024. I'm at Dartmouth College and I plan to major in mathematics.
Hey, I'm Adelina. I graduated in 2024 and I'm currently at Pomona College and I'm majoring in science, technology, and society.
Awesome. Thank you guys. I'm going to just kind of throw questions out there. And then if you guys want to take turns and pipe in and answer some of these questions, kind of more casual. And if any of the parents or anyone on this video call has a question, please feel to post it in the chat, or we can do open questions at the end as well. Okay, so I'm going to just jump in and ask, how would you guys say that IB helped you prepare for college? Anyone want to jump in?
I can answer.
I
Oh, sorry.
Go
Uh,
ahead, go ahead.
Well, I would say that since I'm an English major, I mean one of the most rigorous courses that we took was Kiamka's English class, and I feel like it really eased the transition between like high school and college for me, just because at my college everyone writes like regardless of their major, so I felt like this IB really helped me learn how to write and be successful in college classes, but especially English since that's my major.
I kind of like to go off that. I think a huge skill that I've learned from IB is time management and also being able to do things in a time crunch. I've had to do a lot of um, in class essays, as you would call them, for some of my courses here. And I don't find myself running out of time for those or being stressed for exams as much as I was back in high school because I've developed all those skills and can write very quickly in a short amount of time and also produce quality work in a short amount of time, whether that's writing a paper in a day because of the skills that I learned from IB.
I can speak on how it helped me get credits. So I am a sophomore, but I'll be graduating with both my undergrad and my master's at the end of 4 years, largely in part to the credits that I got. From IB exams as well as AP exams. So if anybody has any questions about balancing IB versus AP, I can definitely attest to that. Um, and then similarly with the exams, my career and my major, actuarial science, has a lot of accreditation exams, which I think the HL classes and the HL exams and studying for those helped me prepare a lot and learn how to study and take 2 years of material that I may have forgotten about, or maybe I didn't fully understand when I learned it a year and a half ago, and then having to go back and reteach myself. And I know that that's not just true for my career and my major, but also if you're looking at taking the MCAT for medical school or the LSAT for law school, I think a lot of the study strategies that you learn in IB can also apply to those as well.
Thank you. Okay. How did you, when you guys started college, did you guys find the courses you're taking easier or more difficult than you expected?
For me, at least, I thought that IB definitely prepared you well in terms because I jumped in and felt like they were pretty easy compared to what I expected. I would definitely credit that to IB bringing you up to speed. There are moments maybe that for maybe a moment or two, that I felt that it was harder than I would otherwise expect. For the most part, it was a lot easier than I would expect.
I can speak a little bit on this one as well. I think coming into ASU, I had a lot of credits, so I'd kind of bypassed a lot of the general education classes that I had to take. So I was able to jump kind of right into my major and take, a computer information systems class last semester and things like that. And even though they were really new concepts that I was learning, I feel like the skills that I learned in IB and the time management skills in particular are what really helped me kind of get through those classes and study and advance for my exams and kind of know where I would go wrong and how I could help my classmates out if anyone else was having trouble. Because in college, a majority of your like freshman and sophomore classes are going to be giant lecture halls, and you often have to get help from those around you and not always your teacher because they can't help all like 500 people in the classes. So I think that was one way that IB definitely really helped me when I was figuring out whether the classes I was taking were easy or hard right now.
Any of the other graduates want to jump in?
Hey,
Oh,
I
go ahead.
I definitely agree with Leo. I feel like the classes well, so I took like biology, chemistry, Spanish, and so those were all things that I had kind of taken at the IB level. And so I felt like it was a bit of review, I felt like I was pretty well prepared with the IB level concepts that we learned in those subjects. So yeah, I felt like I had a pretty easy transition first semester as far as academics.
Okay. So it sounds like it was IB really helped you prepare. So going back to high school, what clubs, what sports, or what did you participate in during high school? And how did that help you in college, or how do you feel like that helped prepare you?
I was pretty, oh, sorry, Leo. I was pretty busy in high school. I played softball for years. I also was involved in leadership with IBSA my last 2 years. I had a little run with the physics club and DECA as well as the math honors club. And when I was going into college, I was like, okay, maybe I tone it down a little bit and not get as involved in extracurriculars. And needless to say, that did not happen. I'm in a sorority. I'm really involved with the Newman Center on campus. I'm in a professional fraternity. Um, I'm a vice president for our sorority. A lot of things that I liked being involved in college change or in high school change. Like I'm not necessarily in softball or doing any organized sports right now. Um, but the ability to balance the extracurriculars with schoolwork has kept the same. And sometimes people, like, I'll tell them my schedule and they're like, you're crazy. But really, IB has prepared you, or has prepared me, and it will prepare you. And so it doesn't feel overwhelming in the slightest.
Leo, I think you were gonna say something.
Yeah, just to add a little bit more, I agree with everything Noel just said, but also I think noteworthy is that, at least for me, so I was involved with the philosophy club with Adelina and the hiking club, and I also ran cross country, and um, th that kind of prepared me to be a leader, and that's something now I'm beginning to emerge, trying to be a leader here at Dartmouth as well. Um, and so I think for balancing clubs, it teaches you time management, but it also teaches you kind of how to be a leader in your community, which is a very valuable skill.
Anyone else want to jump in? Okay,
I can add something else that I forgot.
sure.
Um, my senior year, I got involved with a nonprofit for women in STEM, and I was able to continue that through college, and that's something that I would really suggest um, getting involved in. Any type of nonprofit or volunteer organization looks, not only does it look really good on your resume, but it also helps you create a lot of connections with good people because the people you're working with are also trying to give back to the community. And it just makes you a more well-rounded person and a more community-based person as well.
Um, what do you know now that you wished you knew during your time at Desert Mountain? Like looking back, you've done stuff in college, now you're in college. What do you wish you knew in high school?
I can answer that. I think, I mean, like academics aside, I would definitely like tell my freshman self that it's going to work out and, you know, that things will work out in the end. But I think academically, to not underestimate how much you need to take initiative for as an individual and as a student. Even in college, you're in these big lecture halls when you won't necessarily always be interacting with the professor like you were in high school with a teacher. But even so, there's going to be courses in IB and in college that are going to be difficult. And you need to take initiative over that and not necessarily blame it on a teacher, or blame it on um, maybe like the course or anything like that. I think I would tell myself at some points, from beginning to end, you have to take sometimes responsibility for your own learning in a class. And that's something that's an important skill to have in life and to take into college and to remember throughout your high school experience. You're not going to have a perfect teacher or a perfect class every time. And, you know, that's the responsibility of the student at some point.
Does anyone else want to put in what they think or what they wish they knew at for your time during at DM? Kind of going back to high school too, another question would be if you could do high school differently, what would you do differently? Or would you do anything differently?
I can answer for this one. I think one thing that I would kind of think about differently if I could go back to high school is to kind of not underestimate the skills that IB teaches you. I think IB is super important when it comes to learning critical thinking skills and learning how to analyze things and writing and kind of gaining the ability to understand conceptual material rather than just memorizing things because I took AP classes as well, and I think the largest difference between the AP and IB courses were the fact that AP was very heavily based on memorization, while IB was very heavily based on understanding. And I think that's a skill that you kind of shouldn't overlook, and you should really try to develop it in all of your classes because it's something that's helped me so much in all of my college classes so far. And it's kind of put me ahead of some of my classmates, I feel.
Anyone else want to jump in on that one? Okay. What is the biggest transitional issue you faced when you started college, like going from high school and then going to college? Whether it's classes, whether it's moving to a different state or being away from family, whatever it may be. What did you, big transition that you guys faced?
I can answer this one again first. Oh, sorry, Leo, you can go after me. But I think for me, I think a really big part of it is obviously I go to ASU, so I am pretty close to home. But just for the first like couple of months is kind of just that feeling of loneliness and like trying to find things to do by yourself because you're not going to really have that solid friend group right at first. And I think that also did kind of help me have a lot of time to kind of find my footing in my classes and in like the clubs I wanted to join and kind of build a community through that. So I think that was definitely something that I struggled with a lot when I first came to college, but it's something that you kind of just have to acknowledge will take time, and it's not something that's going to happen within a week. It really is going to take a semester or even two to kind of find that community of people who have the same goals as you and you feel inspired by.
Adelina, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, sure. I definitely think that probably I think it was just so important for me to figure out, like it took a lot of time to figure out exactly how the school worked, like how I'm trying to think of an example, but like, well, Pomona College is a lot different than I think what some of the other students are describing, just in the fact that it's a liberal arts college and we have, like less students than Desert Mountain does. And so just getting the feel for like the liberal arts college and how like that functions and how, we pick our classes and how does dorms work and what resources do we have, just figuring all that out. And I think now in my second semester, I feel a lot more equipped knowing all of that to face challenges. Yeah.
I think one thing that was a little bit of an adjustment was the structure of classes. Not necessarily like the content or the difficulty, but I know, um, at least for like ASU, we either have like Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday classes, or sometimes there'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, but those aren't very common. So having those breaks in between classes and not like seeing your professor every day or not being able to kind of like be forced to review the material every day. Sometimes going from Thursday to all the way to Tuesday, I'm like, wait, what did we talk about again? So I think just that self-discipline of like, look, I don't have a homework due for this class and I'm not gonna have class for the next 4 days, but I need to like look over my lecture notes to make sure I really understand. Um, has been something that took a little bit of work to get to where I'm frequently doing that.
Thanks. All right, I have a question from a parent. Do you feel that IB prepared you for math and hard sciences?
So I am a math major, so I think I could speak on this. Um, I took the uh the most accelerated program for that IB can offer for mathematics, where you complete the 2 years of IB math by junior year, I'm sorry, and then you do Calc 3 and differential equations with Miss Murray senior year. And personally, that has been great. I feel I was able to place very highly, and I'm going to have completed my major by probably junior year, which is very exciting for me. And also in terms of preparation for content, I it allows me to I think understand content very well. So I definitely think that, and for math and for science, it's been very helpful. Um, that being said, even if you just done the regular track of math A and A, I also think that just knowing that curriculum is very good. And if you because IB teaches you to understand, um, I think it definitely sets you up to be in a good place for math and science.
Thank
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to what Leo's saying. So, uh, so all of first year I'm in like the intro bio and chem classes. Uh, so like I think that even so I took chemistry sophomore year, I took biology SL. Um, but even like sophomore year chemistry with Bogardus is like all of that knowledge is really useful in my chem class now. I mean, I still am like pulling stuff that we learned sophomore year. And then as far as biology, even though the bio classes I'm in are more specific, so at Pomona, the intro bio class is genetics. The first, like month was really easy because it was review of what we went over in IB biology. And then when we got more specific in genetics, it was still, I think, just having that knowledge, put me kind of ahead in the class. And so the new content wasn't too hard to master. And then right now I'm in ecology. And so, again, what we learned in IB Bio about those units really helped me. And then also, as far as math, I also took the track that Leo did where we were in Calc 3 senior year. And so I think that that has helped a lot because I haven't had to take a math class along with bio and chem, in order to like be on track. I can wait a little bit to take the math class so it's not so much at once and still be, right on track with my peers. So yeah.
I'm also in a math-based major, and I can attest to everything that Leo and Adelina are saying. Another tip that it may not necessarily be what you want to hear as a student, but I think that if you push really hard in high school, even in things that you don't enjoy, it can really pay off in college. For example, for me, I really dislike history and I really dislike lab sciences. Um, and I took the AP exam associated with Mr. Knox's history class, and that took care of all my history credits. And I took chemistry HL with Mr. Bogardus as well as the AP Chem in hopes that somehow the chemistry gods would bless me and allow me not to take science in college. And that also turned out really well for me. So, like I said, as a student, you may not want to hear that you should put a lot of work into your least favorite subjects, but it's definitely easier to bear with it in high school when it's already a part of your curriculum. You already have to take history, you already have to take science. Some of you may not like math, you already have to take it. At whatever level you're taking it, it can really be beneficial if you apply yourself now versus having to do it in college.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with what you're saying, Noelle. For me, I'm kind of the opposite way where I really did not enjoy math and science classes in high school, but obviously I stuck through with it. I did HL Bio and then I did HL Math A&A. And I got a lot of credits from that. And now in any of the math classes I have to take for my business major, I am just basically flying through without really having to study that much or put as much effort into it as I would have had to if I hadn't taken those classes through IB.
I just wanted to quickly add about the IA for science too. I think really helps when it comes to taking lab classes because every week I'm in a lab for both biology and chemistry. And for biology, we have to write lab reports for, every project that we do. And having done that already in high school, helps so much and took just the, like you rip the Band-Aid off in high school, so then once you have to do it in college, I think you're a lot more comfortable with the lab classes.
Thank you, guys. All of you kind of brought up a topic that I'm sure a lot of students and parents are interested in is the college credits. I guess if you guys can talk about what kind of college credits you guys received from IB, taking IB, that would be great.
I can talk about this, and I think it's probably not what people want to hear, but I got 0 credits from like the IB program, even though I like scored well on my exams. Um, and I don't regret doing IB at all, but I do think that if credits is something that you're considering, then taking AP exams alongside your IB exams is something you should consider. And also, when you're making college lists, it's important to look at which colleges accept credits and don't, because for example, at Penn, not only do they not take IB, but they for the subjects that I took, they only take fives for AP exams as well. So these are just things that you have to look at when you're making a list. But I will say that it's not something I regret, but it is a reality that sometimes schools won't take your credits.
I had the kind of opposite experience between IB and AP, but mostly IB, I think. I got about 42 college credits, which the typical semester is 15 to 18. So I almost got 3 semesters worth of credits. Um, and ASU is pretty generous, but also too, I've heard a few people, if you just email your advisor and kind of explain your case, or two, if you send the syllabus along with an email, kind of like I said, explaining your case, that can they can overwrite it, which kind of seems like a sneaky way to get more credits, but I definitely think it's worth it when you are able to skip not only the time but also the money associated with college. So I think if you put in the kind of the work and advocate for yourself as well as do your research, like Victoria said, when you're making your lists, um, it can definitely pay off.
So I'm actually kind of in a weird situation, kind of similar to Victoria, where my school I didn't get any credits from IB because they expected sixes and sevens on your HL courses. So if that's something you strive for, then great. But I'm also kind of in a weird situation because I wouldn't need credits. Like I would definitely look into the use for credits because I do actually have some from AP and IB, but the way that my school works is it costs the same regardless of whether or not you use your credits. So that's something very important to look into and just make sure that you know like the cost effectiveness of like using your credits versus not using your credits. I mean, obviously I could use some of my credits if I wanted to take like kind of a lighter semester workload, but yeah, just make sure you're when you apply to the colleges, make sure you know what you're getting into.
I think definitely, kind of going off of what everyone has said, I think that in-state colleges are often um, really, I guess, underestimated by students, especially in IB, because I think students in IB are very high achieving students, and not all of them are kind of expecting to go to ASU or U of A or NAU or one of the state colleges just in general. But I think that coming into one of these colleges, especially knowing if you want to go to grad school later with a bunch of credits, which you will 100% get from IB and then also AP if you take those exams, because ASU offers credits for pretty much any score on any HL or SL IB exam that you take. And I think that's something that can be very useful and is a little bit underestimated when a lot of students are doing their college search. So I think that's something, like everyone is saying, that is super important to take into account.
Leo, do you mind telling us how that worked out for you?
Absolutely. So, it's also pretty similar to Victoria where they really do not like to give out credit, although I think they're a little bit better here because they do one thing that they do, which I haven't heard anyone talk about yet, is placement exams. So for the duration of the first semester, we are allowed actually to take a test, even if you haven't taken the class, and you can place you can place out of certain classes, you can be exempt from classes, you can get credit for some. And so I was able to place pretty highly in math without actually using any credits, simply with the preparation from school, from IB and from Calc 3, which was really great. I was able to place pretty highly in math. And that being said, yeah, I was lucky that I took a combination of AP tests and IB tests. And I'm not exactly sure what has led to my credit, but for example, most kids here would have to take 3 terms of Spanish. I will have to take 1 term because I tested out. I believe that's because of my AP placement, though, not IB. So, like everyone else has been saying, it's definitely worth checking the college policy, and oftentimes it's definitely worth taking a concurrent AP course. Like, for example, the AP test I took to test out of Spanish. Um, I took it after taking IB Spanish. I didn't take an AP Spanish class, but I did take IB Spanish, but I took the AP test, and uh, now I'm able to test out of Spanish, which is pretty cool.
I feel like I had a similar experience to Leo. Um, I also took AP and IB tests, and I actually, so Pomona, you can get max the equivalent of credit for 2 courses at Pomona from your high school credits. And so I actually didn't get any credit from IB because, like Nola said, they wanted 6s and 7s and HLs. But I was able to get the max 2 credits from my AP scores. Um, and kind of like Leo's saying, we don't do placement exams as much as you kind of self place yourself a bit. So, you know, you sign up for the math class you think is appropriate, you sign up for the language level that you think is appropriate. Um, so of course, just being advanced in those kind of things, you know, helps you get ahead as well. But yeah, so I was able to receive 2 credits.
Awesome. Um, how was the amount of group work that's required in IB? Has that helped you in your path?
I could definitely speak on this. Again, like I was saying, you know, Pomona is a small school, so our classes are really small. They're all taught by professors, our labs are taught by professors. And I would say that I'm working in groups in basically every class. I'm trying to think. Today I had 4 classes, and in every single one I worked in a group today. Um, so I think that, you know, getting comfortable with in IB just doing group work has definitely helped me at, you know, liberal arts college. And yeah, I'm sure the experience has been different though for other students.
I think for me, my program, ASU is large, but my program is really small. So that allows me to kind of similarly to how DM was a big high school and then IB was like a small part of it. That's definitely how not only Barrett, but also my major is. Um, so for the group work, we may not necessarily have a lot of group assignments, but as Adelina was talking, I was thinking, and I don't think I've ever necessarily turned in a assignment without working with my peers or double checking or like sitting in the library as a group and doing our homework separately but together. So definitely IB did prepare me for that and it allowed me to I'm a pretty outgoing person and it allowed me to be more comfortable going up to random people as a freshman and being like, hey, do you want to go to the library with me and do homework? So while I personally may not be in group projects a lot, the group experience definitely helped me.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add to group work? I know a lot of kids in a high school don't necessarily love it, but it's kind of part of it. Another parent question, how do you balance IB and AP tests and classes?
So I didn't actually take I don't know if I took any AP classes, but you can take tests even if you're not taking the class. And the IB curriculum often is very good at preparing for both IB tests and AP tests. So a very common thing for students to do is to enroll in the AP test in the subject they're studying. So, for example, at the end of senior year, I just finished 2 years of chemistry because I come off of my HL chemistry class in IB, but I took the AP test as well, and I didn't do any additional preparation that I hadn't done for IB, um, but I was able to get a 5 on that just through the things that I learned in IB Chem. And so really it's kind of more about balancing um, one extra test in May or yeah, in May, rather than it is about balancing an entire like extra class.
I can speak a little bit on this because I did take two AP classes throughout high school. So my junior year, I took AP psychology, and that was just in my elective spot in addition to all my IB classes. And I think it's kind of a generally known fact that AP psychology is definitely one of the easier APs. So I think it was kind of nice to have a little bit of an easier class in addition to all of my IB classes. And like Leo said, it was just kind of another test that I had to take at the end of the school year in May. Even though it was like a class that I took throughout the entire year, but I think it was definitely a lot easier to balance because it was more memorization based rather than the conceptual sit down for a couple hours and try to get through your homework IB classes. And then I also took AP Spanish my senior year, and that was I did SL Spanish my junior year, and then I did AP Spanish my senior year. So it was with the same not professor, teacher, Miss Darcia, and that was just kind of another class again that I had to take the test for at the end in May. And it is very easy to kind of balance AP and IB classes, I will say, just because, in my opinion at least, the AP classes aren't as rigorous as the IB classes. And when it comes to studying for the test, a lot of the times it's skills that you've already learned in your IB classes, like especially for Spanish. I'd already taken the IB Spanish exam the year prior. So it wasn't like I had to do a crazy amount of studying to feel prepared for the AP Spanish one.
I can kind of add on to that. I think it's really about being strategic. Like Isha said, fill up your electives with AP classes because it's always better to, be taking the class to prepare you for the exam at the end of the year. But like for example, my senior year, I was taking the second year of HL Math A&A. And because that exam included both calculus and statistic like components, I took AP Stats my senior year as well as my elective. And I found that a really strategic choice because me studying for the stat exam was also me studying for the IB exam. Um, and also the second year of um, the HL Math A&A class is only calculus based and prepares you for actually the calculus BC exam. So I also took that exam. And because the HL math exam is a combination of basically AP Stats and AP Calc, taking both of those exams and preparing for them separately really helped me also prepare more comprehensively for my IB exam.
I think too, it's a good idea to double up. Like a lot of people were saying, oh, well, I took the IB math exam, but I also took AP math. And I think it's a really good idea just because, as I think it was Isha maybe mentioned before, or Victoria, that IB is a lot more conceptual and AP is a lot more memorization, and people learn in different ways. So sometimes you might be more successful at AP exams in one subject than you are at your IB exams. And if you have both of those exams, even though it can be difficult to have to sit for so many exams, having that double layer of protection to make sure that you can get credit or that you can pass and be the most successful during your time in high school can help a lot.
Awesome. Okay, so going back to high school, what was your favorite part about going to Desert Mountain? It doesn't have to be IB related or anything. What was your favorite thing about high school?
For me personally, I was on the cross country team, and that was a really important part of my experience. I met a lot of friends there, and it was just a lot of fun, and I really like running as well. So that was also, a great place to be able to run with other people. So that was mine.
I was gonna say softball, so.
Sports, okay.
I think honestly, in general, just the community that IB gives you. I think I found some of my like best lifelong friends in IB, and I still talk to them all the time throughout college, and they're probably some of my best friends for life. And I think that's something that's really special about IB because it's such a small group of people, and you're together for 4 years. You have a lot of time to kind of find those people who are your people and just make those lifelong connections, which I think are ultimately one of the most important things that you can have coming out of high school and going into the rest of your life.
All right, for college, what's your favorite thing about being in college and why?
I think for me, it's the community that I've built during college. It's really interesting because I think in IB, everybody's taking similar classes and everybody's kind of the same. Like coming from Scottsdale, most everyone's coming from Scottsdale and having those same experiences. And in college, you encounter so many different people. So being able to just experience all of the differences culturally, socially, um, personality wise is really interesting and I love it.
Anyone else loving college?
I definitely am loving my experience at Pomona. I would have to say my top things are definitely the opportunities and resources that we have. Again, it's a small school with a really big endowment. So, there's just so many opportunities for grants and doing research with professors since we don't have graduates. And like I take music lessons with professors that are completely like included in the tuition. Um, there's that there's just so much resources and support, and the faculty is really uh like they're so accessible at my college. Like you can just walk into, you know, office hours with your professor. I mean, my chem professor has it 3 times a week, and there's usually no one there, and you can just sit and talk to your professors for hours, and they're, really educated, really some of the top researchers, I think, in the nation. And there's just so much focus on the teaching experience too at Pomona in the small classes. But yeah, definitely the professors and the faculty is uh my highlight at Pomona. Yeah.
For me, I just really like the opportunity to try new things. I'm kind of in the same boat as Adelina because I'm also going to a small liberal arts school. And, just because of the way my credits worked out, I can just take like whatever classes I want to try. Like last semester, I took a digital imaging course just for fun, and it was great just to be able to try new things. So I just really like that aspect of college and the way that there's just so much opportunity for you. So. Yeah.
For me, the community here is something that's really incredible. Um, the, this is like my favorite thing about the college, honestly, is that the captain of the cycling team just did did a world record time biking from Alaska to Argentina, and like that very much is just the coolest thing for me. I think that's just so awesome. And he gave a talk, and I got to meet him, and he's just another student here, which is really cool. And everyone is kind of like that, where everyone is interesting and does really cool stuff. And so it's really cool to be able to meet people who are just so interesting.
I really enjoyed being on the East Coast. Not to diss on Phoenix or anything, but Philly has I because Penn is in Philly. Has a really good food scene, is like lots of history, a lot of colonial history, and I'm a little bit of a history buff. And I just really like being in a completely different like cultural area of the United States and really getting to experience a completely different um like different type of people who live their lives very differently than they do in Arizona. And coming here has really allowed me to explore a type or an America that I didn't really know. And also Philadelphia just won the Super Bowl, which it was just so nice and cool to be engrossed in such a um I don't know, passionate culture and passionate population, and it's just cool to be part of a new city and a new part of the US.
Awesome. So, would you guys say that IB exposed you to different career paths, or did you guys figure out your career paths on your own, or what you want to study on your own?
I can jump in again. Um, I actually am not 100% sure what I want to do yet. Um, I think IB really showed me what my academic interests were. Like it definitely helped me understand what I would enjoy studying in college and what I don't enjoy. As for career interests, I think there's some people who know what they want to be from the day they're born, and there's other people that take more time to figure it out. And I honestly, like, personally find college a good time to figure that out. But I do think IB does a very good job at showing you what your career or your academic interests are, because you're taking these 2 year long courses that are really intensive. And once you're on year two, I'm not a math person, and once I was on year two of math, I knew that it was not for me. And but for example, when I was in the second year of my history course, I knew that studying politics and economics and things like that was something that I truly enjoyed.
So one thing I feel that is really great about my school is that we have so many opportunities to learn about different career paths. So even if you don't learn about an IB, that is always an option to you. Even like later, when you go to college, kind of like what Victoria was saying, that you have time to really just kind of experiment, try new things, go to like different seminars and talks and stuff that can you can learn about the different career paths. Like recently my school has been hosting a lot of publishing company these like virtual meetings. So I've been going to those and like really been enjoying just learning about like different options within even just like publishing. But I know that my school has a lot of other virtual and in-person seminars. So you can just go and just listen and try see what you really want to do.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left, give or take, but if you guys were to give one piece of advice to any of the students in high school, what one piece of advice would you give them? Whether it's about high school, whether it's about applying to college or being in college, what would be your one piece of advice?
In in regards to applying to colleges, um, I would say don't really listen to what anybody else has to say except for yourself. I know a lot of like somebody mentioned before, a lot of IB students are expected to go to, or not expected, but kind of have that mindset of, oh, I'm going out of state, I'm going out of country. For me, ASU was the perfect fit. It's one of the highest rank actuarial programs in the United States. I have an internship on the East Coast with people from NYU, people, I think somebody actually from Penn, a lot of different prestigious colleges, and I ended up at the same place as them. And I definitely heard a lot of talk about in state, why are you going in state? ASU is a party school. ASU is, you could be going out of state, but it really didn't matter what anybody else had to say because ASU was the perfect fit for me. And it can be really daunting to live up to these expectations of like, I'm in IB, what am I gonna do with my IB diploma? And it really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I think I can definitely go off of that, Noel, and I really relate to that going to ASU as well. I don't think ASU is the college. If you had asked me any of the 4 years at high school where I would end up, ASU would have probably been the last thing I would have ever thought of. But I think honestly, coming from such a rigorous program like IB from Desert Mountain, IB has put me so far ahead of a lot of my classmates here, and I find it a lot easier when I'm applying to things like internships, research positions, and even clubs, because in college you have to apply to clubs, which is something that I didn't really know until I got here. And, even just putting that you got your IB diploma and on your resume and being able to apply for those clubs, when you go to those interviews, you're so well spoken. And I hear people often saying to me, I thought you were a sophomore or a junior when I first met you. I had no idea you were a freshman. You're so well spoken and professional for a freshman. And I think that that's something that you kind of need to remember is that no matter where you go, the skills that you learn along the way will never go to waste, no matter where you end up, even if it is where you didn't see yourself at first.
I think the biggest piece of advice I would give to anyone going through the college admissions process is to like not underestimate how much you're really going to end up at the place that you're supposed to be. And um not only, because I feel like people focus so heavily on you're trying to impress colleges, you're trying to be picked by them, but also you shouldn't underestimate like the college that chooses you is going to be the college that you're supposed to be at. And kind of giving into that and understanding that things will work out and things are going to happen the way that they're supposed to happen. Um, I know I had a very tough time throughout the college admissions process. It's very mentally draining. Um, and obviously it's always easy to say this when you're on the other side, but I wish that I I tell any person going through it that it's going to work out and the college that you pick is going to be the college that picks you, and you just have to believe in that and really give into that.
Awesome, thanks. Um, well, I'm
Uh,
gonna, oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I just was gonna add, I agree with what Victoria's saying for sure. And then I also think it's just always important, uh, to just always be reflecting about what you're currently doing and what your goals are. Um, because I think also like Isha and Noel were saying, there's a lot of like outside noise about, what you should be doing. But again, everyone's path is different. And so I think, just reflecting on if you're spending your time the way that you want to be spending your time to reach the goals that you have for yourself is always really important. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So I just wanted to see if anyone else has any questions or want to add anything. We'll give you a couple minutes for questions if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask any questions. All right, well, wanted to tell you guys all, thank you guys for taking time. I know you guys are busy with midterms coming up and stuff, so appreciate you taking this hour and coming and talking to us about your IB experience and college experience. We really appreciate all the time you gave us, so thank you. And in the comments, there are some thanks and also comments saying that you are all very impressive, which I must agree. So thank you for your time. And I appreciate you guys.